All right. I guess I'm curious if there's any opens, any hot topics. Okay. We can go through the past discussions and see if there's any follow-up that needs to happen there. I think, Michael, I think you had one follow-up related to talking about CI for EDK2 platforms.
Yes, and I did send that email. I think a couple people responded. They were in the European, or I believe they're all in Europe. So the time doesn't work well for them here. But I think that might be maybe like a one-off meeting we can schedule to meet with them since they seem interested. I'd like to prepare some material before that meeting to help guide the discussion. So it might not be next week like we were originally anticipating, but maybe like a week or two thereafter is what I'm thinking.
Sounds good. The other open that I know some progress was made on was CI builds. As we were briefly talking about, I think both someone on my team as well as Oliver from Red Hat have the GCC CI running in containers. And I think all indicators point that it is beneficial because we can control the environment a little bit more. I don't know if there's any more interest or discussion here for the larger group. Okay, so hopefully this week we'll get a repo made, get an official container registry running with automated builds of that container environment, and then look at moving the GCC CI over to using that container.
Was that container running Ubuntu or something, or was there a specific OS environment in the container?
So I believe there's one running Red Hat and there's one running Ubuntu. I think Oliver's done the most work here, and I think he said the Fedora. I think he said Fedora is more aggressive with their compilers, so they have a newer GCC in there, which I think was beneficial. But I think that'll be the kind of the next layer here, is deciding what content goes in there and what versions we want to manage. I think today we've been deferring to Azure DevOps and their VM image for whatever version of Ubuntu they have published. And so I think we could do that again with the Ubuntu container, or we could move to one that's more current. To be fair, I don't think I have any opinion in that space.
Okay, great.
I am the third one that we talked about was the tools def. I've drafted an email. I haven't quite hit send yet. I wanted to fill out a little bit more content on what our expectation for a maintainer of a toolchain tag is. But as agreed upon in previous meetings, I was going to send an email to the mailing list indicating that we were going to look at deprecating or removing all toolchain tags that do not have a community member step forward and support. And so I think I have that almost done. I guess I am curious here if anyone has any comments around what it means to actually support a toolchain, and what kind of metrics, how do we know you're fulfilling that maintainer's job? I would argue that today we have some problems with that in the main code base. Does anyone here have an opinion what it means to be a maintainer of a toolchain tag?
I mean, I guess what kind of definition are we looking at, right? I mean, because we don't have like Xcode sort of build support, right? But I kind of de facto keep it going. So I mean, I guess we could end up with tiers of support, I guess.
I mean, I think, yeah, there's some easy ones that say like if CI is running either constantly or every night or weekly, like I think that's well maintained.
Yeah.
And I would think that if those CI builds broke, we would defer to the maintainer as the default person to help solve that, right?
Right. I mean, but then we could have like supported tools for whatever reason that we don't have like a good CI setup for. So then someone just needs to be on the hook for the Bugzillas, I guess. I mean, and be helpful on the mailing list at a minimum, I would think.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean,
I mean,
the CI is a forcing function, and I agree, right? Because if it breaks, someone's going to have to do something.
yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think, yeah, I basically start out saying that, yeah, your name is, you get to own that component in the Bugzilla.
Yeah.
And obviously, if your backlog of bugs gets so large that your toolchain tag is useless, then we should talk about that not being a maintained tool anymore.
I mean, that feels like a simple way to deal with it.
Yep. Okay, good enough. So I'll try to get that out tonight. And hopefully over the next 2 weeks, we get people signing up for the toolchain tags that are important to them. I'll be curious to see. Is there other things people want to bring up? Because I feel like without Mike here, and I think he's out for the next 3 or 4 weeks, I think that's most of what we have. Bob, I do see an old note around you looking at Clang PDB and trying to figure out what the current support plan is.
Yeah, I think yeah, that open is cloud PDB on ARM platform. I think I will have no update for I think maybe I will not follow up with that open yeah, because
Okay.
we don't have
Okay, so we'll leave the Clang PDB one unmaintained and see if someone steps forward. Hopefully someone does.
Yeah, I don't want to sign up to own it, but I can help people out if they have Clang questions.
Yeah.
I know there's some Clang weirdness syntactically, at least in some places in assembly, that at least I've seen on the Apple toolchain. So I've hit weirdnesses there too. So, or if anyone ever wanted to try to use lodb, I can help them with that too.
Yep.
But I guess the point of the PDB is not to have to use the lodb, I guess.
Yep. And then I guess the last one I was going to send an email. I'm hopefully going to get both these done tonight. Would be the RFC or RFC changing. Mike had asked that we try to get Leaf's feedback, as he's someone who's done the code first process and was involved in that. But again, the suggestion was to move over to yet another repo where we can submit a templated format for RFCs and have better traceability through those. Unless there's anything else, that's all I see in the agenda for the day.
Short meeting.
Kevin, Mickey, Harry, anything else?
I have nothing.
I just wanted to let you know that the SourcePoint guys from Asset LLC have been using the, or and I've been trying to get the under the EDK2 platforms, the min tree for Whiskey Lake and Tiger Lake going for the training wikis that and material that Lori has been curating for training, and I've been trying to get the tree fixed. We had to roll back to last August because I don't know, something broke the min tree for the Aeon Whiskey Lake boards. But I talked them into getting their debugger product. Since our debugger product is, or until ISD is not public, it's under NDA only. The Asset LLC debugger is commercial, and it's for anybody who wants to use it. So they link themselves to their debugger to the to Whiskey Lake and Tiger Lake. So Thursday they're doing a webinar on it and how they got it working. So I think Alan Saguna and those guys have a product and also training material as well as instructions in a working debugger. So for the simple case of just DCI debug with a USB cable, they have they're putting up a webinar and a bunch of links to our min tree for Whiskey Lake and Tiger Lake, so you can go off and can do debug. So I don't know if that's of any interest to people having to try and debug their code base here. So I can send the link out. There's a webinar that Alan Sagunda and Asset LLC is hosting on Thursday.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
When you say it was broken, you mean it like didn't boot, like there was an assert or it crashed or something?
Yeah, there's some sort of memory MRC code, like works on, I think, the really high-end board, but then all of the other boards
Okay.
broke after August or whatever. So there's some sort of reset or MRC bug or something that it just hangs on the reset when it comes around again. So we just went backwards and rolled back to an earlier date, and it seemed to work fine. So that's what we're using for the training, and that's what's in the Asset LLC training videos. They just went back to the version that we were.
Okay. All right.
using.
Because I do have the Whiskey Lake one, and I do use it occasionally, and I didn't see a problem. But I think I do have the high end one, so I was just trying to see what was going on there.
So it works with the Hynix memory. That's what Lori has as well, but it does not work with the Samsung memory. So it's specific memory chips on the board. So it was working earlier, and then it just broke the Samsung memory, which is on, I don't know, on every given model, it's whatever memory they have available. So it depends how lucky you get, I guess.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.